Hello guys and welcome back to The Broken Box. My name is Octa and I'm here today as the host because Steven has no idea how to conclude this bit. I brought this octopus thing out and I don't know how to conclude this. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know where I was going with this. I just saw this octopus plush and I was like, I gotta put this in the video, and now I'm not sure how to work it in. So meet Octa, everybody. That's how you have to say his name. You have to say Octa because it's he's a brother from down under, so you gotta say Octa. And I'm sorry about the accent to any Australians who might be watching. It might not be great. I'm doing my best here. I saw this in my sister's room. I was like, I gotta have that in the video, and now he's just here. So Octa, welcome. He's part of the Broken Box canon now, the Broken Box universe. He's just here now, so he'll be co-hosting with me, just watching, making sure I'm saying everything well, and he's my toughest critic, man. So this octopus plush will be here with me for the rest of this video. But anyway, welcome back to another episode of The Broken Box. My name is Steven, and today I want to ask you a question. Are you afraid of the fire, or are you afraid of being burned? Are you afraid of water, or are you afraid of drowning in it? Are you afraid of the dark, or are you afraid of being alone in the dark? Or better yet, not being alone in the dark? Where am I going with this? Well, stay tuned, because all of that and so much more is going to be discussed today on The Broken Box. Let's roll that intro. All right. So, to my earlier point, fire. Do I fear it, or do I fear being burned? Water. Do I fear it, or do I fear being engulfed and drowning in it? The dark. Let me tell you something about the dark, okay? So, as a kid, I was deathly afraid of the dark. Very normal fear, right? To a point where, it would be like I would want to leave the lights on to sleep at night, and I would, that run that you do when you turn the lights off downstairs and you sprint upstairs because you don't want to spend too long in that darkness, right? Hopefully y'all can relate to this, otherwise I just look super, super weird. But what I've come to realize is that a lot of these things which we fear, we're not really afraid of experiencing them as much as we are experiencing the consequences of them or experiencing them alone. But what if you were impervious to fire? What if there was a guarantee that no matter what fire touched you, you wouldn't be singed and burned to a crisp? What if there was a guarantee that no matter how deep you went under the water, you wouldn't drown? What if that guarantee existed? What if there was a guarantee that you were never going to be alone in the dark? But not like a malicious way, like you'll never be alone in the dark. I mean, like you're never going to be alone in the dark, because something interesting is that I was never afraid of the dark when my dad or mom was walking with me, when I was holding their hand, walking through New York City late at night, or walking, even downstairs. Like I got scared as a little kid being downstairs when all the lights were off late at night. But if I had my dad there, if I had my mom there, suddenly whatever mysterious entity was lurking out there in the darkness didn't mean much to me because I wasn't alone. I had someone on my side. Why do Christians struggle in life? That is the question today. How does that relate to what I just spoke about? We'll get there in a second. But this is a good question, right? Like, why? And to people who might be on the fence about religion to begin with, like, why should I invest time in a relationship with God if he's not going to guarantee being an all-powerful being, if he's not going to guarantee that my life just goes well? Because Christians know it is rough out here, dog. It doesn't just, life is not sunshine and rainbows the second you become a Christian, or the second you decide you want to have a relationship with God. Like, it is not sunshine and rainbows. It is rough out here. Bills got to get paid. Children got to get taken care of. Relationships, human relationships, need work. Stuff happens, bro. Why? I've heard people say to me like, oh, you talk so much about Jesus and this Jesus guy. Why doesn't he protect you from that stuff? Why doesn't he make your problems just disappear? He could, right? Well, I want to offer a multi-pronged approach to this. Number one, that's not how relationships work, and I accept that. Put yourself in this scenario. Let's say you meet this guy or girl, right? Just fellas, ladies, whatever. Just imagine yourself, you meet this person. They could be a potential partner, and you meet them in, I don't know, Barnes and Nobles, or Blockbuster Video, or a Walmart. I don't care. Just pick wherever. All right. You meet this person and they're there. They're browsing through books or they're browsing through the produce aisle. I don't know. And you meet this person And you're like, okay, here's the deal. Here's the deal. You just come up to this person and you're like, I'm going to lay it out flat. I got a good job. I got good benefits. I got life insurance. I got 2 cars. I got pension. I got, what else do old people look for? I don't know. I got a Costco membership. Okay, like I got all these things. So they're all yours. Your life will be perfect from here on out. You will not have to work another day in your life. I will be taking care of everything. All you have to do is promise not to cheat on me. Don't cheat on me. That's it. Don't cheat on me, and all this is yours. Cool? This might seem like a dream come true. And fair enough. You know, to a lot of people, like, you know, that sounds pretty nice, actually. I don't know where you're going with this, but that would be like an answered prayer. Just chill, okay? And work with me on this. That's not a relationship. That is a transaction where somebody gives you everything, and all you have to do is pledge some sense of loyalty to them. When God desires a relationship with humanity, he desires a relationship where by showing us what he's capable of, he can bring out the best in us, right? And I've spoken about this before, that your life is not a process of just living out a perfection. Your life is a process of striving to attain that perfection through the seasons that God brings you through. Will you ever attain perfection? Not really, because we're human. That's what defines us, not being perfect. But a relationship means you go through stuff together. My strongest relationships in this life, my strongest and closest friends, are people that have gone through stuff with me. And I know the same thing applies to them because I've gone through stuff with them. Those guys are my brothers. Why? Because I've experienced life on a different level with them. There are plenty of friends that I have that have only been around for the good times, and that's awesome. I love that. I mean, like, I love having friends. But you know that you reach a next level of closeness with somebody, a next level of relationship, and you better yourself through every hardship you encounter together as a team. Have you ever thought that that's maybe what God is looking for? Because in this world, you will have trials and tribulations, but Jesus says, take heart, be of good cheer, because I have overcome the world. A relationship with God is not a promise to end all your sufferings. In fact, sometimes life can get a little harder when you choose that relationship. Because sometimes you're going to have new tests, new challenges, new trials that you didn't have to deal with before. But is it worth it? Absolutely yes. Because first of all, this world is a terrible place to begin with. Okay? That's not changing. Why is that not changing? Because we're in it, dog. We make this world a terrible place. Human beings make this world a terrible place. And because of our free will and because of a lot of other factors that would take a long while to really dive into, the truth is this world is a messed up place. Was it intended to be a messed up place? No, not by our original design, but it just is. It just is. In this world, you will have trials and tribulations. That's what Jesus promises. He said, like, yo, listen, God wants a relationship with you. That does not mean your life is going to be sunshine and rainbows, dog. In this world, you will have trials and tribulations. You will suffer, but his promise is that you don't have to be afraid because he has already overcome the world. So we've accepted that it's a fact of life that we're going to go through stuff, right? A relationship with God does not mean that things just automatically become a magically beautiful experience. Like, everything is not peachy, bro, from there on out. There is a sense of struggle to this life that is natural and part of living. And it serves a purpose too. It serves a purpose of bringing out a better you, allowing you to experience certain things that are crucial for you to pass on to other people. There's so many, the butterfly effect, right? There's so much that we experience on a daily basis that is so minute in our eyes. These minute things that have massive repercussions further on. Massive repercussions, the butterfly effect, right? So me experiencing car trouble in the morning could be the reason that I do X, Y, and Z that lands me in certain position, and I meet certain somebody, and I meet this person, and I meet that person, and those people are impacted positively by an experience I can share that I only had that experience because God allowed me to go through it. Anyway, you see what I'm saying? Like, and it all started with what? Car trouble. In this world, you will struggle. I can't make a case for God and say that your life is going to get better. That your life is going to get perfect. But what I mean to say is that your life will get a lot better in a different sense. Why? Well, it comes back to that idea. Are you afraid that you have to face these things in life, face these difficulties, face these challenges, or are you afraid that you have to face them on your own? Well, here's the promise when you're doing life with God. You're no longer facing them on your own because you would have had to face them anyway. This world is a difficult, rough place to live in. You would have to face these challenges, face these demons, face that Goliath anyway. But would you rather come in the name of yourself or come in the name of the Lord? Because when you come in the name of the Lord, even with just a slingshot and a stone, you could take down that Goliath. When you come by yourself, you scramble off that battlefield, shivering, shaking in your boots. It's a reference to the story of David and Goliath for anybody who didn't catch on. I'd love to talk more about that story. It's a great, great, great story. But you understand, right? You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's not because David was fearless that he could stand before Goliath, but because he had this assurance that he wasn't walking onto that battlefield with this 9-foot monstrosity by himself. This guy was carrying weapons that probably weighed more than David, but David was like, I'm not scared. I'm a teenage boy. I'm not scared. You know why? Because I come against you in the name of who? The Lord. When the Lord's with me, I have no reason to fear. Be not afraid. That is a sentiment repeated over and over and over in the Bible. A key story I wanted to highlight is in the book of Daniel. I'll probably talk a lot more about the book of Daniel eventually, but this specific story, these 3 Hebrew boys who have been captured from Israel and they've been brought to Babylon, the conquering empire of the time. And in Babylon, because they were intelligent and they were smart and they were good looking, they, instead of being assigned menial prisoner of war tasks like physical labor or anything like that, they were schooled by the Babylonians to be kingsmen, right? They were like advisors, and they were courtmen for these kings. So Nebuchadnezzar, the king at the time, he orders that this huge statue be constructed of himself, and that people, when the music plays, the fanfare blows in the square or wherever the statue is, they will just have to bow down, fall on their face, rip themselves of any of their dignity, strip that dignity off, and just fall on their face into the dirt wherever they are and just worship this massive statue of the king, of a man. Now, you have to understand, under the Jewish religion, right, this is a huge, huge no-no. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, these 3 Hebrew boys, are devout Jews. And they have committed that no matter where they go, they will never compromise their values. So when they hear this, they realize, hey, we can't do that. So the music plays and everybody else strips off their dignity and falls and on their face and worships this statue of the king. But the boys, these 3 boys, they stand still. And they're like, no, I can't do it because it is against my faith, it is against my religion, and it's against everything that I stand for. So I will not do it. They took that stand. And there's such a potent message in that. I'm fighting the urge to go into it right now, but I don't want this to get too long. So we're going to scoot past that for what happens immediately after. These guys take a stand against the king. And the king had already decreed that anybody who doesn't comply with this command is getting tossed in a fiery furnace. So the king, boiling with anger, takes these boys, who he loves, right? These are like 3 of his best men right here. And he's like, I'm going to give you a chance. Bow down, worship right now. Worship the statue, worship me. And they're like, nope, won't do it. Sorry. God might deliver me. God might not deliver me. Like, he might come for us. He might not. But even if not, I can die knowing that I stood by my values. I stood by my God. So they get tossed in the fire. They don't burn. In fact, the king starts wigging out because he looks and he's like, whoa. He's like talking to the soldiers next to him. He's like, yo. Do you see that? How many men do we tossed 3 guys. We tossed 3 guys in there, right? Like, I'm not crazy. 3 guys. And they're like, and the soldiers and advisors are like, yeah, 3 guys. And the king was like, no. There is a 4th man in there. There was a 4th man in the fire. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not burn. They stood firm, knowing that being on God's side did not mean they wouldn't get put in the furnace. But they were confident that they weren't going to be alone in the furnace. And guess what? In a much more significant and visceral way than they could have probably ever imagined, God showed that he was actually physically right there with them in that fire. There was a 4th man in the fire. Many believe this to be an early picture, an early coming of Jesus, actually. God in flesh, or the angel of the Lord, who has been theorized to be Jesus, appearing in that fire. And guess what? They came out of that fire and their clothes didn't even smell like smoke. So was the fire really that big of a deal at the end of the day? But did God remove the circumstances that put them there? Were they still tested? Were they still put through an impossible situation where they had to reroute their allegiance from the king to something greater, knowing that it would cost them potentially their lives? No, he didn't remove that circumstance. That circumstance stayed exactly where it was. They still had to make that choice, a difficult decision, and they still had to be tossed into the fire with no guarantee that they would live. But guess who showed up for them? In your life, aligning yourself with God, saying I'm with God, saying I have a relationship with Jesus does not mean that you won't struggle. Does not mean that God is going to remove all the circumstances that might be pressing on you, that might be crushing you, that might be testing your mettle, really. And he might seem cruel for that. But let me ask you something. These things, these attributes, these difficulties of life that we're going to have to experience anyway, would you rather experience them alone or with the creator of the universe on your side? Those boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, had no guarantee that God would show up for them the way he did, but he did. And he'll show up for you too. Even when you don't feel like it, he's there. You know why? Because as I've said before, with God, pain gains a purpose. When you do life with God, it is not a guarantee that your life is never going to be difficult again. But it is a guarantee that you're never going to have to experience it alone again. Being with God doesn't mean that you'll never go through the fire again, but it means that you're never going to go through the fire alone. You may pass through fires, but you will not burn. You will not be dust. You won't be ash. Being with God doesn't mean you'll never pass through the waters again, but that means you won't be engulfed by them. You won't drown in them. They won't pull you under. And being with God does not mean that you will never be in the dark again. Understand? Being with God does not mean that you will never be in the dark, because darkness is an attribute it is an unescapable part of this world that we live in. But you're never going to be in the dark alone again. Because when that closet monster you're afraid of as a kid, you think it's there, right? But it disappears the second your dad or your mom puts their arms around you and says, hey, it's okay, I'm here. I'm here. And in that moment, in their embrace, you realize, hey, nothing can actually hurt me. Nothing can actually get to me because I'm in the arms of someone who understands and knows me more than I know myself. And suddenly the dark isn't so scary when you're in the arms of your Father. The dark isn't so scary when you're in the arms of the Father. And guess what? The light of God shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. That's, I believe, John 1. Jesus is the light, and that light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot comprehend it. It will not, it did not, and it won't ever. Because who you have on your side is so much greater. So much greater. So why do we struggle in life? It's because it's a fact of who we are, the world that we live in. But the guarantee of doing life with God is not that you won't suffer again, but that you will never go through what you have to go through alone. And that to me is so much more powerful than any promise because it's real. It is a brutally honest take on life. You will struggle, but take cheer, be of good cheer. Take heart because I've already overcome the world, Jesus said, and I will be with you as you overcome it yourself. I wanted to just give you some verses here, some scripture to back this up a little bit. Some verses you might be familiar with. It's a verse that I've been referring to throughout the course of this video is in Isaiah 43, verse 2. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned. nor shall the flame scorch you. This is a promise from the Lord your God. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego lived by that promise. They walked through the fires and they were not burned. Doesn't mean you'll never go through the fire again. Through the fire, right? You will face the fire at one point or another. You will be put in that crucible. You will go through that pressing, that crushing that life tends to bring. But I will be with you. Walk through the fire, you won't be burned, nor shall the flame scorch you. That is a promise from the Almighty. Also, one of my personal favorite verses, a very, very common verse, Isaiah 41, verse 10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Even when you feel like he's not around. Even when you feel like he's not watching. Even when you feel like he's abandoned you. He will uphold you with his righteous right hand. Be not afraid is a commandment you see so often in the Bible, and you understand why now. Because God is not going to remove the circumstances for you to fear, but he will take away the reason to fear, because his promise is that he will be with you, that he will never leave you nor forsake you, that you will pass through these obstacles, these trials, and come out better for it, because the fire, though it touches you, you won't be burned. And the waters, though they might try, they will never engulf you. And there's beautiful imagery for this all throughout the word. Even I'm thinking of Peter as he felt himself sinking beneath the waves, and he called out, Lord, help me, in a almost childlike plea of genuine of terror. He feels himself sinking beneath these stormy waves, and the hand of Jesus catches him and pulls him out and says, it's okay. You just have to have a little faith. That's the crux of it. Have a little faith. We have no reason to fear, because even though life might get tricky, we're never doing life alone when you're with him, right? So that is going to conclude it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, genuinely. Hope you guys took something from it. Super glad on how this is going. I'm having so much fun doing this. I hope you're genuinely enjoying this. I hope to bring on some guests soon. That is something that I want to definitely start doing. I definitely want to start getting some guests up in here so I can get you guys some varied perspective every now and then. So I'll be looking into that. Please hit that subscribe button down below. I would really, really appreciate it. Even if you think you're subscribed, just go ahead and check. It does me a huge favor, and it just helps me continue making this content. It continues supporting what's happening here, and it just shows me you guys are messing with it, right? That's all. It just shows me that you guys are liking it, and I should keep making more. Yeah, man, just keep watching. And if you're new to the channel, if this is your first time here, hope this was a perfect introduction. I got more videos, so go check them out if you haven't already, and go check out my social media. It's on the screen somewhere, and it should be in the description too. Yeah, hit me up whenever, DM me. I just love to talk. I love to chat about stuff like this. You got questions, comments, concerns, all that stuff, just let me know. All right. God bless you all. Don't be afraid. All right. God's got you. Even when it feels like he doesn't, he's got you. And if you got questions about what that means, reach out. Let's talk about it. Remember, sometimes it's not good enough to just go outside the box. You've got to break it. I'm going to see you all in the next one.